Hi, my name is Randy Mason, and I'm the managing partner at Commercial Realty Specialists. So what we're going to talk about today has to do with how far in advance should I plan for my relocation. I've come up with approximately 11 major steps. The reality is there are many individual steps in each of those steps. So the first step that I've got is make sure you determine your exact requirement. Some requirements include the number of private offices. What sizes do they need to be? Does your company or business have specific standards that they need to adhere to? So sometimes it's good to get an idea of the size of office and or cubicle, number of conference rooms, the size of the kitchen. What do you want to have in the kitchen? So it's just really understanding your specific requirement. Usually determining your exact requirement could take anywhere from a week to a month, 2 months, depending on the size of your organization. So the second bullet point is going to be doing the market survey. What we want to understand is, are we looking for a Class A, B, or C building? What cities are we looking for, or are we willing to relocate to? So what kind of amenities are we looking for? Are we looking for restaurants nearby? Are we looking for gyms? Whatever's fun for employees also is something to think about. So the market survey is going to take approximately a month to 2 months, plus or minus. Third step is going to be scheduling a property tour and physical inspection. So ideally what we'd like to do is have all of the people that are involved in the transaction go out on the property tour so we can narrow the properties down from the 5, 10, 15 that we have decided we'd like to look at least on paper, to narrow it down to 3 to 5 properties ideally. I don't like to negotiate on just 1 or 2 properties. I like to have multiple properties that we can negotiate one against each other. This process can take approximately 3 to 4 weeks depending on how many times we want to go back to the various properties. So the fourth step in the process now is the preliminary space planning. So ideally what we're going to have done is, after we have narrowed our multiple properties down to 3 properties, then what we're going to do is figure out which ones actually work best for our company, because inevitably we might like one building, but the reality is just the configuration of the suite doesn't necessarily work for us the way we want it to. We'll choose one space planner who will work on our team and basically help lay out each property and each suite, so the space planner fully understand our needs and can get ingrained, so we don't need to talk to 3 or 4 different space planners and educate each space planner as to our unique need. This process could take between 10 days to 2 months, depending on the number of properties that we choose and the complexity of the transaction. The 5th step is going to be proposal stage. So now what we've done is we've started the preliminary space planning. We give the landlord a proposal. The proposal then on 3 different properties starts to become negotiated. And that's where the fun part comes in. This process can take anywhere between 2 to 4 months, so you want to make sure you give yourself ample time. The 6th step now will be the preliminary pricing. So we've negotiated, or we started the negotiations on 3 different properties. There are obviously 3 different landlords most likely. So what we're going to do is discuss the specific types of tenant improvements we're going to want the landlord to price. So what he or she is going to do is they're going to have 3 different contractors, because they're 3 different landlords. The contractor is going to be talking to their subcontractors. So there's a layer of people that need to be involved in this process. The air conditioning company, the electrician, the plumber perhaps, drywallers, etc. So a lot of different subs need to be involved, and those types of individuals really need to have an understanding as to what we're going to be doing for the property. So the reality is you need to have ample time for that. That's going to be like 2 months, perhaps, plus or minus. So now we're going to talk about step 7, which is really, I'll call it the final space plan, because perhaps during the preliminary pricing stage, we found out it's going to be too expensive to build out what we want to have built out. So we need to adjust our requirement a little bit, or whatever the situation is that would then be the final space plan that would then be used to create the next step, which is number 8, which is working drawings. So now what we've done is we have figured out at this stage which building we're really going to be focusing on. Construction drawings are very expensive, so those are what the landlord's going to be using to give to his contractor, so the contractor can then go get building permits. Working drawings can take approximately 3 weeks to maybe a month, month and a half. Step 9 is final pricing. Now that they know exactly what needs to be done to the space, the contractor can get hard numbers from his subs that he has gone out to. And typically a contractor generally will talk to 3 different types of subs. So that can take approximately a month to maybe a month and a half. So step 10 is going to be building permits. Now this is an area that is somewhat could be considered in the dark because different cities take different amounts of time in order to give you your permits. So that can take 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks in order to get permits, maybe even 2 months. It depends. If the city kicks them back and says, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that with regard to the working drawings, then it's just going to take things much longer than anticipated. So permits can really hold up a project. Step 11, and that's actually now construction. So we received our permits, we've got the contractors all lined up, the contractor has ordered the materials that they need, and now we've got the construction that happens. And frankly, that can take about 4 months, 3 to 4 months, depending on the extensiveness of the actual build out. So where I'm going with all of these steps, you want to start the process like a year before you actually need to relocate. So it's very important to start the process early. So if you would, please subscribe. Call me or email me if you'd like. I'm glad to help and answer any questions. Thanks for watching.